Samuel Adams. Savor the flavor responsibly.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon in Chicago as the Bears take on the Rams tonight.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. You do know the game is in Los Angeles, right?
What?
Yeah, it's in L.A.
No.
It's not in Chicago.
Come on.
You have a ticket to the game in Chicago because it's not in Chicago.
Oh, well, you know what? I can get there from here. I got time.
Yeah.
Flights are empty. Got some time. Go to L.A.
Yeah. I understand. You
know?
You told everybody you had to go to the game, so you'd stay in Chicago. Like, we get it. Everybody gets it. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Steelers stay unbeaten. Odell is out for the season, and the Dodgers are one win away. But we begin today with the Patriots getting crushed in New England by the 49ers, 33-6. Cam Newton was yanked early in the fourth quarter for Jarrett Stidham. Meanwhile, Tom Brady threw 4 touchdown passes for Tampa Bay and looked his best of the season. Now Antonio Brown is set to join that circus. The comparisons are natural and obvious. Wilbon, should Bill Belichick stick with Cam Newton?
Bill Belichick should do what he wants to. I'm not going to presume to tell Bill Belichick about anything that regards football. I will say this. First of all, let me say, I think right now all precincts are reporting, and I just owe you a round of golf somewhere on taking Bill and Cam over, Tampa Bay. I concede, even though we got hours and hours to go, weeks and weeks, I concede. Okay. So, to see Bill Belichick go over and tap Cam on the thigh and say, I'm going to the pen, that's not something we imagined, Tony, 2 years ago or 5 years ago. Even if we said, hey, a 31 or 32-year-old Cam Newton, he's going to be with Bill Belichick, we still wouldn't have imagined Belichick going to Cam to say, just sort of have a seat. We're going with the kid. We're going with a kid that no one knows out of the bullpen. That's sort of jarring, and it looks like Cam doesn't have it. You and I talked when this was going on. I hate to admit it looks like Cam doesn't have it, but it looks like he doesn't have it, and he might not be able to get it back.
So I really thought the Patriots were going to win this game.
Me too.
I really thought the week of practice would make all the difference in the world.
Big difference, yeah.
Cam Newton threw 3 interceptions, completed, I believe, 9 passes for under 100 yards.
It's nothing.
Mike, he misses guys by a lot. He misses guys deep, and he misses guys short. Look, it's the first time that the Patriots are 2 games under 500 since 2001. Tom Brady is in that mix from 2001 on, obviously. I can still see them finding a path to win the division because they've got Miami one more time. They got the Jets twice. They got Buffalo twice. So they have that. They have that chance. But if you look right now at Tampa Bay and my bet against you looks very good right now.
Your bet's covered.
Yeah.
But you know what, Tony? It's not just the Cam Newton part. The rest of the Patriots don't look any good either. They don't look like they have players. And so maybe this was a rebuilding year, like we are unaccustomed to saying the words rebuilding Patriots, Belichick. You don't even say that. But it really looks like they're not any good.
The other takeaway that seems fair right now, the takeaway is that Brady jumped ship at the right time.
Yes,
that
early.
Brady knew,
he did what Belichick does. Usually, Belichick's pushing. This time, Brady pushed off and said, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
The Steelers and the Titans both entered their game 5-0 and nearly played to a tie in regulation. But Titans kicker Stephen Gostkowski faded the ball too far right, and the Steelers scraped by 27-24 in a game they led by 20 in the third. The Steelers are now 6-0 for the first time since 1978, a year they won the Super Bowl, Tony. But have they convinced you, or did they convince you, they're the better team?
Both teams are quite good. But if you go on the road and you win, I think you are slightly the better team. The Steelers were favored by 2. They covered. They won by 3. Now, the Gostkowski thing, so we bring in another former Patriot. The Gostkowski thing is important because it's a 45-yard field goal. You're supposed to make those. You're supposed to go to overtime. He is 10 of 16 this year, which isn't good. I believe in game 1 he missed 3. He finally had the game winner real late in the game, but it may be that he's on that squad just because he and Vrabel were teammates together at some time. I'll give it to Pittsburgh by a small margin, but Tennessee was Pittsburgh's equal. I think that's fair to say.
Tony, they were the equal, but as we know, as I painfully know, bad field goal kicking, that makes a big difference. The margin of victory in terms of the score might not be great, but you got a kicker pushing them right 6 times. I don't know if he pushed all 6 of them wide right, but missing those 6 kicks, Tony, and he's not out there attempting 60-yarders. So, the Steelers are better because they won a game on the road when the other team's kicker couldn't make a makeable kick. That makes them better. Field goal kicking counts. And so, I look at the Steelers now and I say, wow. Tony, we look at the league is without, Andrew Luck, and who knows where Cam is going, and these guys ought to be in the primes of their careers. And Ben Roethlisberger's like 6 or 7 years older than those 2 guys, and he's still going. Ben Roethlisberger, as you know, I felt this way all of his career. He never gets the praise that other people get and that he has earned, in my opinion. So I know the Steelers haven't been great for a few years, but they look great now.
I would point out that in that comparison that we had, that would you take Tannehill or Ben, and you took Ben and I took Tannehill. Ben threw 3 picks. He threw a bad pick at the end of the game. He tried to fit it in the end zone to a receiver who had 3 blue jerseys around him, was batted up in the air. It was retrieved, and it almost led to a tie and then to overtime. I will say this about the Steelers, though. If you go to Tennessee and you win, and the next week you go to Baltimore, if you win that game,
you're the fave. You're the fave in the AFC. Oh, even with Kansas City.
Well,
even
I
with
don't know about that. But I tip my hat because after that, Mike, after that is a veritable all-you-can-eat buffet. After that are the Cowboys, the Bengals, and the Jaguars. Let's go to the World Series, where the Dodgers are up 3-2 after another tense game last night. Series has been great. Clayton Kershaw, whose playoff troubles are well documented, is 2-0 in this series. He went 5 2/3 last night, giving up 2 runs, and he left with the lead. The pivotal play was a rare attempted steal of home by Manny Margot in the 4th inning. With 2 outs and the Dodgers ahead 3-2, Margot took off as Kershaw had his back to him. Wilbon, do you approve of what Margot did?
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like was the slide, because if he slides straight in, God knows, I haven't slid on a baseball field for any purpose in close to 50 years. But it just seems to me, if he makes that slide and he gets his hand in there, he was going to be safe because the hand was going to beat the tag. And then we're talking about maybe a whole different, that's 1 run, I don't know what we're talking about. But there's only a handful of guys, Tony, that I would say, yeah, that guy has earned the right to be on his own. And Margot's one of them, of course. My man, Javi, is another one. But, Tone, yes, it was a great play for Kershaw to be alert enough to get that ball there and that tag to come down. But I think the way Tampa had to manufacture runs, and they knew it, that this was an important, pivotal part of the game.
This is a tremendous play. It is an attempted straight steal of home in a World Series. You just don't get this very often. You do this because Justin Turner is way back behind third base, and you've got a secondary lead. Kershaw is a lefty. His back is to you. He takes the most exaggerated motion of any pitcher anywhere. So you go. And then Muncy yells, step off, so there's no balk. When Kershaw throws it home, he throws to the first base side. It's not a great throw at that point. The catcher makes a great play. The catcher who's not Will Smith from the night before, who did not make a great play. He makes a great play, and from then on, Kershaw cruises. His next 5 outs, he does without particular stress. And I'm going to point this out about Kershaw in this postseason. Okay, it's the first one in 20 postseason series where he has 2 wins. He's 4-1 in the postseason. He's 2.93 with an ERA with 37 strikeouts and 5 walks. He's everything that they could have asked for at this point.
And yet,
and the night
I
before,
think that
series
is going to be. I think the series is going to be even tomorrow, but we'll get to that tomorrow. We got time for that.
Me too.
Well, let's go back to the stolen base. Let's go back to the stolen base. Okay. I know you were a little child, very young, if you were young enough, old enough to remember it all. Yes, it's Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson.
Yes.
When you a straight out theft of home. Javi Baez did it, I think, in a championship league series game, but it wasn't the World Series. I don't think he did it against Cleveland. But that's the most daring play in baseball. It's great to see it. I just started yelling.
It made sense.
It's so cool to see.
It made sense. The way Kershaw sets up, it made sense. I could see a Mookie Betts trying something like that.
Yeah.
I could see it. Anyway, let's take a break. Coming up is Todd Gurley, really to blame.
Pardon the interruption. Presented by Samuel Adams. Part of Happy Hour.
It's mail time, featuring a mailbox with eyeballs. Let me see what's
Mail
first
time.
as I dig in here. Here we go. Do you blame Todd Gurley or credit the Lions' offense for what happened in Atlanta?
How about if I blame Atlanta's defense? Todd Gurley scores with essentially a minute left, like 106. Detroit has no timeouts, okay? And they're playing down in the ATL. It puts Atlanta up 22-16. I know Gurley took the blame. Everybody says Gurley should have taken a knee at the one. He's done it before. Kicked the field goal, let the clock run out, and Detroit doesn't get the ball. Stafford doesn't get the ball in Georgia, where he went to school. But Tony, how about a defense when the other team has no timeouts and whatever, it's 75 yards? How about the defense of the Atlanta Falcons get some blame for being worthless? Can I sort of write in a candidate? The Atlanta defense for being sorry?
Sure. Gurley knows he made a mistake. You could see it in his body language when he didn't even want to fall into the end zone. He went, oh my God, I don't want to score. After that, Stafford gets all the credit in the world. The last two passes were things of beauty. The one over the middle and then the one to the tight end in the end zone. The enduring image for me is Arthur Blank with his mask on in a three-piece suit, waiting on the sideline to celebrate, just like he did against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And he looks like a chump every single time because it never works out because Atlanta stinks.
Never worked.
Here we go.
This.
It's been a while since it's worked. How about we say
Was
it that way?
Arizona's win over Seattle more about the arrival of Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, or 3 picks from Russell Wilson and a bad Seahawks defense?
Well, it's both things, obviously, Tony. But the Cardinals came from behind to tie and win in overtime and give Seattle its first loss. And Murray was 34 for 48 for 360 with 3 touchdowns. And he ran for 57 yards and another touchdown. And there's a name he reminds me of. And I think you're going to identify with this. He may even be more dynamic. Reminds me of Doug Flutie, where Flutie wasn't a championship-level quarterback, but I tell you what, he was good enough if he had enough other stuff around him. And it seems like Murray has big-time stuff around him. That was a good win, even though Russell Wilson had one of his few bad games. Going to happen to everybody. We've seen it with Aaron Rodgers. We've seen it with Brady this year. Can happen to him, too.
That's right.
Arizona.
That's right. Russell Wilson's march to the MVP took a hit with 3 interceptions. Ben Roethlisberger's march to the MVP took a hit with 3 interceptions. And as you say, it happened to Aaron Rodgers the week before. It happened to Josh Allen. He came down to earth. That stuff is going to happen. That's the toughest division in American sports. Their last place team is 4-3, which would put them 2 up in the NFC East. It's the toughest division in all of sports. I will say this. The best play of that game was DJ Metcalf chasing down that DB like a locomotive chasing down a car. Big, powerful strides, 95 yards. Pete Carroll said it's one of the best plays he's ever seen. That was great.
He got up to 22 miles an hour, Tone. How about that?
Just great. All right, this is in your wheelhouse, Big Ten. Do you believe that Indiana scored on the 2-point conversion that beat Penn State?
No, Tony, I don't really think that Michael Penix scored. He laid out, man, and this is a great decision, I think. If you are playing Penn State, and you can see right there, Tony, I don't think he's in when he's down. I also don't know that it could have been overruled. Tony, the Hoosiers are playing 8th-ranked Penn State, and they hadn't beaten a team in the top 10 in 33 years. And this is a big one. I told you on Thursday that Penn State was overrated. I got that right. I was wrong on Wisconsin, at least for now, because Wisconsin looked big time, although their quarterback's got some issues. But he didn't score, Tone. I didn't think he scored, but I don't know that you could overturn it. What did you think?
I didn't think he scored either, but what I'd like to say is the Big Ten opened with a bang. Okay, that's a great game, Indiana-Penn State.
It was.
A just great game. Ohio State and Wisconsin and Michigan rolled over people. Rutgers, with Greg Schiano where he ought to be, on the sideline of Rutgers, beat Michigan State, if I'm not mistaken. Northwestern goes down 0-3, scores 48 in a row. Just a couple of quarterbacks. Justin Fields, 21 of 22. Graham Mertz, who's the kid at Wisconsin kid, 20 of 21.
They
so
went
all
Bill
of a
Walton.
sudden,
that's a Bill Walton performance on that.
All of a
accuracy.
sudden, you know you have Alabama and you know you have Clemson. Now Ohio State is in it. Maybe Notre Dame is there. Good for college football. That was a good weekend.
It is good for college football, Tony.
Enough email. Let's take one last break, but still to come. Baker Mayfield and the Browns win a game, but they lose Odell.
And is Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy already on the hot seat? Tone, glad to see you watch the Wildcats. It was actually 43 in a row.
Savor the flavor responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Happy time, people. Happy 71st birthday, Mike Hargrove. The American League Rookie of the Year in 1974 and an All-Star in 75. Hargrove batted .290 over 12 seasons with 3 different teams, Texas, San Diego, and Cleveland. After that, he managed for 16 seasons with Cleveland, Baltimore, and Seattle. Hargrove took the Indians to the World Series in 1995 and 97, but didn't win. Everyone in baseball called him Grover, but his better nickname, the one that described all his maddening movements and ticks and routines that took forever between every pitch, was the human rain delay.
Tony, I don't remember Hargrove on San Diego at all. I remember his whole career. But I do remember he would wear his stirrups, his socks high, which nobody even knows about in baseball anymore because everybody wears their pants with a stupid 6-inch break on their shoes. And it looks like something from, I don't know, Bad Style Illustrated. I hate that. I like the way Mike Hargrove dressed.
Thank you, Mr. Fashion. Happy anniversary, Kirby Puckett. On this day 29 years ago, the Twins Hall of Famer walked off Game 6 of the World Series with a home run in the bottom of the 11th inning that forced a Game 7 that the Twins would win. Puckett also made a great catch at the wall in this game. He was a 10-time All-Star, a 6-time Gold Glove, and a career .318 hitter, the all-time Twins leader in hits and runs scored. Puckett won both World Series he played in and batted .309 with 5 home runs and 16 RBI in 24 postseason games.
Tony, Kirby Puckett is Southside's own Calumet High, where I would have gone to school if I'd gone to public school. Would have gone to school right there with Kirby Puckett. And there's another home run. I think it was in Foster Park off of, 14-year-old kid or 15-year-old kid. He was a year younger than me. That ball may still be in orbit. And that's when you learn there's some great kids and there's some pretty good kids. You're only pretty good because that great kid, he's going to the Hall of Fame in, another 20 years, and that's what happened.
That's a great story. That's great. Happy trails,
Sad.
Odell Beckham Jr. The Browns receiver tore the ACL in his left knee. He'll be out for the rest of the season. Beckham got hurt while leaping into the air in pursuit of a Cincinnati defender who had just intercepted Baker Mayfield's first pass of the game. After going 0 for his first 5, Mayfield completed 22 of his next 23 passes. He had 5 touchdown passes in a wild shootout with Joe Burrow, who had 3 touchdown passes of his own and 406 yards. The game had 5 lead changes in the fourth quarter. Burrow appeared to win the game 34-31 with a touchdown pass with 1:06 to go. Then Mayfield actually won it 37-34 with a touchdown pass with 11 seconds to go.
Yeah, Tony, Mayfield seems like he had a moment. The question is, can he sustain it? Because that's what he hasn't done in the past. It's a bad thing about Beckham being gone. It was good to see that Battle of Ohio have 2 teams that actually seem to be on the uptick playing in it.
There were great games in the early window yesterday.
Yeah,
the Detroit game was great. The Pittsburgh game was great. And that game, the Ohio game, was great.
It was really, really good.
We're running out of show. We go to the big finish.
Let's
the Cowboys got